Skill, aggression, consistency, and raw speed. These are the traits that all racing drivers must possess. But what separates the good drivers from the greats is that little bit extra, even when the odds are stacked against them. So with that in mind, we put together 5 of the best comeback drives in Formula E to show you that in motorsport, no matter what happens, the most important thing is to never give up. The 4th round of the inaugural Formula E season took place on the streets of Buenos Aires. Antonio Felix da Costa lined up 8th on the grid in his Amlin Aguri, having outqualified his teammate by almost 0.7 of a second.
I'll be aggressive, but at the same time we need the points as a team, as a driver, so be aggressive but use my head at the same time.
A great launch from da Costa fired him past Nico Prost's Renault Edams at the start, and a few laps later he squeezed past Jean-Eric Vergne's Andretti to claim 6th.
And da Costa gets through, does he, on the run down to the chicane? Yes, he does, so da Costa up into 6th position.
When Karun Shandok's right rear suspension broke going through the final chicane, the safety car was deployed, allowing da Costa to jump up to 4th with a well-timed pit stop. When the racing resumed, all hell broke loose for the cars ahead. Sebastien Buemi retired from the lead at the final chicane.
Oh, Buemi! Is he going to hit the wall?
Oh,
he's broken his front right, and he is out of the race.
Oh no! No! Oh no!
And Lucas de Grassi followed suit just a few laps later.
Oh, de Grassi's off as well! Lucas de Grassi, race leader, out of the race as well.
Sam Bird, who had just passed da Costa, was handed a drive-through penalty for ignoring a red light in the pit lane. And finally, race leader Nick Heidfeld was given a drive-through for pit lane speeding. All of this chaos left Antonio Felix da Costa in the lead, and he claimed his first win in Formula E.
Yeah! Nice one, boy! Yes!
A fortunate drive? Perhaps, but keeping his cool and avoiding mistakes paid major dividends for da Costa, who cruised to an unlikely victory as his rivals crumbled around him. The 2019 Marrakesh E-Prix was series veteran Jerome D'Ambrosio's second race for his new team, Mahindra, and it would prove to be one to remember, despite lining up 10th on the grid. It was a chaotic start to the race, and D'Ambrosio took full advantage, slipping past 5 cars in turn 1 to take 5th place. He was passed a few laps later by Lucas de Grassi, but shot back past the Audi later in the race as the Brazilian's pace began to slow. D'Ambrosio then got stuck into the Envision Virgins, passing both cars within the space of 1 lap to take 3rd place.
D'Ambrosio's got past Bird and Freights. D'Ambrosio's up into 3rd place. Oh,
Bit
big
of a late chop.
Wow.
There he goes right now.
And does he hold it?
Did it?
Oh, just about.
The Belgian had put himself in a position to win the race should something happen to the leading pair of BMWs.
Up the inside goes Sims, and da Costa's locked up.
What are you doing?
They hit each other. Da Costa's in the wall, and the lead is gone. And the Mahindra team are in the lead of the race.
Christmas had seemingly come early for D'Ambrosio, but he still needed to keep a hard-charging Robin Freins behind in the sprint to the checkered flag.
It's nose to tail for the lead. One more corner, but it's only a little flick right. Does Freins fancy the lunch? Oh, look up from D'Ambrosio.
Oh, no,
he slides out wide, but he holds on to win in Marrakesh.
From 10th on the grid to an incredible victory, Jerome made it pretty clear he was happy with the result.
I love you guys! I love Mahindra! Yes!
Good job, mate.
Yes! Yes!
Hong Kong's first Formula E race would prove to be a memorable one for Lucas de Grassi for a variety of reasons. The curbs at the chicane had been moved between practice and qualifying, and the Audi driver was caught out before he could set a lap time. As a result, he would start from the last row of the grid.
Yeah, it makes our life very difficult because we practiced this morning, session 1, session 2, with the curb on the inside, and then you cannot predict what the car will do when they remove it.
Things got worse on lap 1. Marching Hua ran into the back of Nico Prost at Hong Kong Station, leaving de Grassi nowhere to go. Despite his damaged front wing, he pushed on, overtaking 3 cars in one go. But the mechanical flag was waved and de Grassi was forced to pit for repairs, dropping him from 12th back down to 18th, and seemingly out of contention.
He needs a safety car now.
He must be absolutely livid now.
A crash on lap 17 brought out the safety car. With nothing to lose, de Grassi pitted to change into his second car.
So he's not going to get to the end like that, is he?
No,
With well over half of the race to go, it seemed impossible that he'd be able to make it to the finish with only one car's worth of energy. De Grassi joined the back of the safety car queue, and when the rest of the field had made their stops, found himself in second place. The Brazilian achieved the optimal balance of pace and efficiency to bring his car home in second, with only 1% of his energy remaining. It was a showcase on how careful energy management and clever strategy can turn an apparent hopeless race into a podium finish. Sebastien Buemi had seemed certain to take pole position in Argentina until a spin on his hot lap sent him to the very back of the grid.
There's quite a lot of work ahead of me, so hopefully come back, and get as many points as possible. We've seen last year how every point counts, so it's not going to be easy.
There was a lot of ground to make up in order to salvage a good result, and Buemi got straight to it, diving down the inside of 3 cars at once in the opening lap. He kept up the aggression, passing car after car, and when he pitted on lap 18, the Renault driver had made up 13 positions, climbing all the way from P18 to P5. With 7 laps to go, Buemi overtook his championship rival Lucas de Grassi, snatching second place. Only 1 car to go, Sam Bird. After closing the gap, Buemi harried the DS Virgin, trying to sniff out an overtaking opportunity or force him into a mistake, but Bird held on. It wasn't the win for Buemi, but it was the next best thing. Through sheer aggression and driving skill, he'd battled his way up to second from the very back of the grid. Having missed out on victory in Mexico City the previous year thanks to a post-race penalty, redemption looked unlikely for Lucas de Grassi from 15th on the grid.
I really don't understand. The car was sliding everywhere. Did a mistake in the last corner, cost me maybe 3 tenths, but not 1.4 seconds that I'm off my free practice time. So really we have to understand what happened and try to get it back for the race.
And we go green in Mexico City. Good start from Oliver Turvey.
A collision with Stefan Sarrazin on lap 1 didn't help matters either, and when the safety car came out, de Grassi dove into the pits for a painfully long rear wing change.
Give it a pull, lads.
Yeah, the mountings though, they've got to get the mountings replaced. That's the whole point. Yeah, this is not going according to plan. This will feel like a day. Oh, he's sitting there and they've got no concept of time. A second feels like a day.
There we go.
Eventually he got going and rejoined at the back of the pack. But it wasn't long before a second safety car was deployed to deal with Oliver Turvey's next EV car, which had retired from the lead. Sensing an opportunity, de Grassi's team brought him in for an early car swap. Just like in Hong Kong, it was a gamble that would require the driver to be conservative and controlled with his energy usage or risk not finishing at all. When the rest of the field pitted a few laps later, de Grassi jumped up to first place, with Jerome D'Ambrosio behind him on a similar strategy. Yet another safety car closed up the field, allowing the top 2 to save energy, but also allowing the chasing pack to close up. With 25% less usable energy than Jose Maria Lopez behind, de Grassi and D'Ambrosio were sitting ducks. Or were they?
Vern up the inside of Lopez. They have a little bit of a rub, and Lopez holds onto the place for the moment, but he knows that's ultimately for the race lead.
Yeah, that's for the win.
With Lopez losing time and energy battling Jean-Eric Verne, de Grassi started to build a gap.
Can he get it done this time? They rub wheels again. He gets pushed out wide. He cuts across. Costa gets involved. Here comes the outside. Look, he's lost it. He's lost it and he's gone. Lopez bins it at turn 1. And what a shame. And Buemi bins it with him. Incredible.
Lopez now out of the mix. It was Verne's turn to have a go at the slow-moving D'Ambrosio while defending from Sam Bird behind. But frustration was beginning to creep in.
Verne's on the outside. Where's Bird? Behind.
I mean, it is a joke, this guy. It's a f***ing joke.
The D'Ambrosio roadblock was allowing de Grassi to cruise away with zero pressure. Eventually, the move was made.
D'Ambrosio closed the door, but this has to be it now for Jean-Eric Verne. He's up into second place.
But it was too late. De Grassi took the unlikeliest of victories thanks to excellent energy management, a strategy gamble that paid off big time, and a little help from Jerome D'Ambrosio. What a comeback for the champion in waiting. But what do you think? Which fantastic drives did we miss? And who is your king of Formula E comebacks? Let us know in the comments.